Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of you. On the basis of the time you're watching this video, it's again good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we are going to talk about the fourth part of nationalism in India. And in this particular part, we are going to talk about the civil disobedience movement and its impact, and also how the people saw this movement as their own, how they participated, and why this civil disobedience movement later on lost its momentum. Now, today we are going to talk about all these things, and this is going to be the last part of chapter 3rd, CBSE and CERT section. This is one of the most important chapter because there are many other things that were discussed over in this particular chapter. I do like to request you all to like my channel, share it, share the video, subscribe my channel, press the bell icon that is there, so that whatsoever the new episodes that are going to be launched, whatsoever the new chapters that are going to be taught there, that you can know about it as early as it can be possible. Today we are going to talk about the Salt March, the Civil Disobedience Movement, how participants saw this movement, the limits of civil disobedience movement, the sense of collective belongingness, all these points that are there in NCERT book. Now, when we are talking about the Salt March and the civil disobedience movement, we can understand that the Gandhiji sent a letter on to Viceroy Lord Irwin on 31st January 1930, stating 11 of his demands. Out of these 11 demands, one of the most important demand was abolition of tax over salt. Why this is so? There were lots of demand, but this was one of the most important. The reason was quite natural, that we already know whosoever the person who is living on this earth, they all needed salt, and salt was seen as one of the most important symbol to unite this country, because rich are also have to pay the tax over salt, the poor also, Hindus also, Muslims also, upper caste also, lower caste also. People, those who are living in rural area, they have also to pay, and the people, those who are living in urban area, they had also to pay. Because of that, Mahatma Gandhi saw salt as a powerful symbol that could unite India as a nation. Because of that, once it was quite natural that the Lord Irwin or the Britishers, they are never going to accept whatsoever the demand that was there by Gandhiji or the Indian National Congress or even the Indians. Because of that, once 11th March passed on, Mahatma Gandhi has started his salt march from Sabarmati with 78 of his trusted volunteers. They walked over 240 miles and they reached Dandi on 6th of April 1930. After reaching there, they broke the salt law. Finally, Mahatma Gandhi, he called off his this movement continuously for the 1 year it goes on, and on 5th of March 1931 he called off this movement. Gandhiji consented to participate in second roundtable conference. In December, Gandhiji went to London for negotiation, but it broke down and he returned disappointed. Mahatma Gandhi relaunched civil disobedience movement with the apprehension, and in 1934 it lost its momentum. Now all of these things happened. Mahatma Gandhi, he broke the salt law. He then he again consented to be participant in second roundtable conference. All these things happened, but for one continuous, the people fought against Mahatma Gandhi. Sorry, fought with Mahatma Gandhi against Britishers, but without any decision taken from the people, without consenting the people, without consenting Indian National Congress, Mahatma Gandhi called it on 5th of March, this movement. And because of that, the people, they were totally frustrated with all this. And once again, when Mahatma Gandhi lost or broke down whatsoever the negotiations that were there in London, he returned back and he tried to relaunch it. But the momentum that was in 1931 was never again was there. The next point is how participants saw this movement. Participants saw the movement in different angle. The angle was what they are on the basis of that. Like Patidars of Gujarat, they saw it another way, and the Jats of Uttar Pradesh, they saw it another way. The rich peasants, they saw it another way. The poor peasants, they saw it in another way. The organized business people, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, they saw it in another way, and industrial workers, they saw it in another way. Upper caste, they saw it in another way, and the Harijans or untouchables, they saw this one in other way. Now, when we are talking about this one, the rich peasants became enthusiastic supporters of movement as they thought the struggle against high revenues is there. They were disappointed when it was called off in 1931, and again they refused to participate again in 1933-34. The reason was quite obvious. In 1931, it was called off without achieving whatsoever their goal was. Because of that, and they lost of lots of money. Because of that, they refused it again to participate. The poor peasants, they wanted unpaid rent to the landlord to remit. They joined radical groups. And because of that, also, they never stand with Indian National Congress. To organize business interest, formed the Indian Industrial and Commercial Congress in 1920 and the FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Congress was reluctant to include workers' demand as it may alienate industrialists and divide the anti-imperial forces. One more thing was there, the Indian National Congress, they were funded by these industrialists, and because of that also they were not ready to take whatsoever the demand of industrial workers were there. And because of that also Indian industrialist workers, they were never ready to participate in this movement. Because of those 11 demands, the industrial workers' demands were never there. Gandhiji called untouchables, that is Harijan, that is the children of God. The limit of civil disobedience. Every social group was not moved by the concept of Swaraj. One group was of untouchables. Congress ignored them from very beginning, as Sanatanis may be offended, as upper caste Brahmins may be offended. And because of that, these people, they found it that if they are going to be politically empowered, that will resolve the problem of their social disability. Because of that, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar organized Dalit into a depressed class association in 1930. In 1932, Pune Pact was in between Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Gandhiji, which gave reserved seats in provincial and central legislative council. Whereas Dr. Ambedkar was demanding that there should be two representatives from each constituency. One representative of Dalit, another representative was to be the general one. But after certain negotiations with Gandhiji, this was achieved that Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhiji, they achieved that, okay, certain seats are going to be reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Other group was of Muslim. After Khilafat movement, Congress was more visible with the Hindu organization. And because of that, Muslims, they also never participated in this civil disobedience movement. In 1927, efforts were there of negotiation in between Indian Muslim League and Indian National Congress, but it failed. Minorities were always afraid that their culture and identity of minorities would be submerged under the domination of Hindu majority, and Hindus' religion, culture, and identity will be dominated, and therefore they were always alienated from this type of movement. The last point is the sense of collective belonging. Nationalist movements spread when people belonging to different regions and communities begin to develop a sense of collective belongingness. The identity of a nation is most often symbolized in a figure or image. The image of Bharat Mata was first created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay in 1870 when he wrote Bande Mataram for our motherland. Indian folk songs and folk songs by bards played an important role in making the idea of nationalism. In Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore; in Madras, Natasha Sastri collection of folk tales and songs which led the movement of folk revival. During the Swadesi movement, a tricolor red, green, and yellow flag was designed in Bengal. It had 8 lotuses representing 8 provinces and a crescent moon representing Hindu and Muslims. Means of creating a feeling of nationalism was through reinterpretation of history. The nationalist writers urged the readers to take pride in India's great achievements in past and struggle to change the miserable conditions of life under British rule. Now, there was continuously there that the Britishers, for the last more than 100 years, they continuously let the Indians know that they don't have any history. The past of India was totally blackened. People were not knowing about how rich their ancient culture was. Because of that, once the nationalist writers they came, they started urging the people to study, to understand how much nice, how much great their past was. Even they were explained that the time when the Britishers they were having a black history, they were not having even the history, they were the nomads at that particular time period. Also, India was having a rich heritage, rich culture, rich knowledge of arithmetic, science, technology, even the operations that can be, that means the medical medicine also the people were knowing about. That's all, folks. In chapter third, we will have in the next video, we are going to talk about some of the questions that are most important in this chapter. We will discuss it, and please do uh, hit the bell icon and subscribe my channel so that you can also came to know about all these features. Thank you.